Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Thank you for joining me live. I am honestly just live. Well, I'm live for 2 or 3 reasons. The first one being that I feel like I completely escaped off of the, social media planet Earth over the last week because I've been totally inundated in my own classroom stuff and some personal health things I'm dealing with. And so I have felt so incredibly disconnected, honestly, from all of you. And then it got really bad this week, adding on to that because I was just back in the classroom and feeling super busy. And then I was trying to take my own advice that I've been sharing with you guys where I'm take time for yourself. And I find myself completely exhausted at the end of the day and filled, literally my calendar was filled hour to hour from 7 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And so I had no time to choose to be present on social media. It just was not happening. So then I was kind of reflecting on Friday and I'm guys, I haven't talked to my friends and I've learned so much. So I'm okay, I'm going to go live. I'm going to figure it out and we're going to go live Sunday. So thank you to all of you that are already commenting. It's good to see you. Caitlin, Brian, Nikki, Livia, so good to see you. I am honestly live not only to take questions. Technically, we don't have a bi-weekly family check-in today. So technically, this isn't a bi-weekly family check-in because those happen every other Sunday. And this is an off Sunday right now. So we will have one next week. But I'm just going to treat this like a bi-weekly family check-in. For those of you who have not joined us for a bi-weekly family check-in, we literally go live only in our private Facebook group. I guess right now we're streaming a few other places, but we go live and we just take questions for an hour plus, depending on how many questions we have on Sundays. And so right now, as we're streaming on Facebook and in our private group and YouTube and Twitter all over the place, we just wanted to give you kind of a bonus time to ask questions. And also, I was going to share just some things that I've learned and how a lot of you who have been following my journey, figuring out how to best structure your classroom. I've learned a lot in the past week being back with kiddos that I just wanted to share to see if it was helpful. I know in our Teach Better community, it has been nonstop since March 16th when it seemed like the whole world shut down. We've been doing professional development on how the fall would go. And just over the past few weeks, Chad and I especially, but really the entire team has just been inundated with now putting it all into place, right? Everybody on the team, we joke that out of the 15 people on the team, 12 of them, I'm making that number up, but 12 of them are in the classroom. So a lot of us has been living, eating, and breathing this transition back to remote learning. And Chad has been traveling all over doing professional development. I'm not sure if you guys are following that, but so we're just living it now versus talking about it. And I think a lot of great reflection and opportunities for growth comes when we've been researching and learning an idea and then needing to transfer that into truly practicing it. And so I have definitely learned a lot. And I can thankfully say that all the plans I thought I was going to have in place are actually still in place, except a lot of things have shifted slightly to try and see how to actually put it into a practical use versus just a thought or idea I had. So excited to share all the things. Do me a favor. I have a lot of people watching right now. It's so good that you're all here. Thank you for being here. I'm going to get to the comments in a second. Do me a favor. I'm going to share a lot about my classroom if you're interested, but I would hate to share all the things about my classroom if you're not interested. So will you do me a favor and use the comments as a space to share on the topics you want to hear about? So for example, if you want to hear about parent communication or day-to-day management or live sessions or asynchronous versus synchronous learning, or give me those topics and then I will talk through them. I would just hate to ramble on about something that you're sitting back and you're Ray knew all this already. I have no interest in this idea. So let's preface a few things before we get started as you're commenting on what you want to hear about. First off, my name is Ray Hewart. I'm currently the Director of Training and Development for the Teach Better team, as well as being a full-time 6th grade math teacher in Illinois. My school is going back completely remote for the first 9 weeks. So we have just this week welcomed back about 150 sixth graders into the building. This is their first exposure into middle school. And so we've spent the last week trying to get them acclimated. We did the whole like signing into your computer for the first time while remote, right? Like we did all the fun stuff that you have to do for a sixth grader. I kept making jokes to parents who were so appreciative, but like very overwhelmed this week. I was like, guys, all the problem solving we usually do with your children, you're doing at home. And so we know how challenging that is. But on the flip side, we're not at least opening like lockers because that really inundates the first week of sixth grade. So that's fine. So I've really, really loved it. This coming week, we actually get into like content. So like the classes are separating from last week, we were mostly team-based. So I work in a middle school model. So me being a math teacher, I work with a science teacher and a social studies teacher and a reading and writing and all them. We've been really team focused. We share 150 kids. We've been trying to get those procedures going. This coming week, while we're still a team, we really believe in that model, we're kind of splitting off. And now we're starting to really look at what does our own individual class look like? How are we supporting students? A lot of teachers will get into content this week. That's kind of the transition we're in. So over the past week, we've been brainstorming and trying things and doing different elements. And now we're going to put it into practice a little more in depth on Monday. We've really seen how these live sessions work. I'm going to get to the comments in a second. I do just want you to know, as I'm starting in a remote setting, I really believe that everything I'm doing is going to be able to transfer from a remote setting to a blended or hybrid model to in-person learning, and then maybe back if we need to. I really believe that we cannot waste our time working in a model that only fits into one of those categories. So everything I'm sharing today, I truly, truly, truly know will work in all of the situations as well. You just might adapt things and might add little, flares to it depending on what your situation looks like. So please let me know what you're interested in learning about. I will also tell you that my district is requiring for all teachers to stream a live session for 20 minutes 3 times a week. Now, I will tell you personally, I don't necessarily like that. It is a district mandate though, so it is something that I'm working around. And it kind of goes back to a lot of the training that we do in this group as we talk about like, hey, I have these big audacious dreams, but my principal won't let me. Or we have this big audacious dreams, but I don't have this supporting me. And like I always tell you, control what you can control. Only focus on what you can control. So for me, while I agree or disagree with being live for 20 minutes 3 times a week, it doesn't matter. Like it is a requirement for my district, so we're making it work. And so I'm just going to be able to brainstorm all that for you today. So let's get to these comments. So appreciate you guys being here. Look, Brad's here. It's awesome. Jessica, she says, I'm so excited to hear about your week. Oh, that's so sweet. Natalie, good to see you. Yes, Brad, this is like a bonus check-in. I love it. So I am looking at the comments. I'm trying to figure out which to go to first. All right, maybe we'll start here. So Kate says, can you share how your grade level team communicates weekly assignments with students and parents? Do you send out a shared document for all? Yes. So that's a super good question to start off with. That's an easy answer. So we have like an assignment page every single week where we are going to post what our like day-to-day activity is more or less, and if we're live that day, because that is such a confusing part of having a middle school sixth grader who went from having 1 teacher in 5th grade to now almost 8 in 6th grade. So we are trying to keep that calendar consistent for them. What we've done is we decided that our core teachers are going to be live specific days every week. So for example, on my team, we're going to be live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday every single week. That includes math, science, social studies, reading, and writing will be live during that time. The exploratory classes, the PE classes have decided to be live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So because of that differing schedule, we really tried to put in the supports for students, but we also want to make sure we have some flexibility in that because you never know what can come up. So what we've done is we've created like a shared document. I can actually like pull it up right now so you can see it. And it goes through like the classes, the teacher, and when they're live. So I'm going to share it with you like just really quick. I don't know if this will be helpful, but just to give you like an idea of how we formatted it. If I can, maybe. All right. So this is what it looks like on here. So we have announcements at the top. And then when you scroll down, you start to see like the days of the week and the different like teachers and the content. So it's not necessarily the most organized system, but it does go through every single class, and it includes when they're live and other things going on. So this is shared between the teachers that teach these classes. And then what we've done with that is that we adapt it every Friday afternoon, so that the last class that we have on Friday, we make sure we reference this and say like, hey, just so you know, like this is your schedule for next week. So we're trying to get our sixth graders in the habit of not only concluding their week, but like thinking about how this is going to affect them next week and what things they need. So hopefully that touched on what you need. Let me know if you have any other questions. If it helps though, Kate, by the way, this is like embedded into our website that our school has. So when they go to our team, they can see this right then and there. And then we also posted it like an easy access link on all of our Google Classroom. So like, it's just something that's shared constantly so students know. And it really comes down to like, teachers are using it in different ways, but in essence, it's like, when are we live and what should you go to figure out what you're supposed to be working on, essentially. All right, so Jennifer says, trying to wrap my mind around what live class will look like from a middle school math class. Jennifer, I'm going to tell you my honest to God opinion, and then you take this with a grain of salt because I've been struggling with this all week. So Jennifer, I want to be very transparent with you. Because we have to be live 3 days a week, like the district I'm in, that means that like our team is going live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The problem I'm foreseeing with that is that that means that they are live for almost 5 hours sitting on camera on Monday, 5 hours, not really, like I know it's 20 minutes, but like it's a 40-minute class. So if we go a little over, it's just a lot of time. And then Wednesday, think about it. Wednesday, it's not only our 5 classes, but it's also exploratory and PE, and we're all required to figure out that time. So even, I'm being dramatic, even if it's not a whole hour, even if it's just 20 minutes, it's a whole lot of sitting. And then in addition to that concern, I've really struggled with this idea that students are like, they're not only seated, but like, then there's so many tech issues. And I see all the time people posting like, oh, this student couldn't pop in, or, oh, their internet wasn't strong. And like, if I'm delivering content via a live stream, I'm misusing a live stream. Because if I'm just like talking at the students, then I could be doing that in some sort of video. If I'm doing some sort of like engagement activity or discussion, that's something that can serve on a live stream. So I really would encourage you to figure out your live streams to be excessively interactive and to focus on movement. Like I'm going to have my students doing math up and like moving out of their seat. I'm going to teach them that they need to be in a spot where they can like move their chair away so they can stand in front of the camera. And a lot of what we're going to be doing is like physical movements with math, or discussions in math, or conferences in math. But the like lesson is not going to be live. And that's something I really, really would encourage you to do, because I had a lot of tech issues last week, but I wasn't stressed about the tech issues because I knew whatever we were working on wasn't going to hurt the student in their ability to learn, because it was just, we were just doing like an activity of some sort. And so the like meat of the information, like the core of the strong instruction to allow that student to be successful, wasn't happening on a live video. So we did a lot of like relationship building and stuff like that. I hope that makes sense. Another question, I'd love to hear suggestions on managing teacher signatures. Really good question. And teacher conferences during remote learning. Yeah, so I can get into, I'm not sure if this like opens up a can of worms of describing why, like I could talk through like how I'm doing my grid and everything. But essentially here's what I'm thinking. Because I'm live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to do with my student teacher, my like teachers I work with, amazing people. We're going to do the first like 8 minutes of some sort of activity movement. My student teacher is a basketball player. We're going to be doing like some fun stuff, moving around. That's the first 8 minutes. Then the next minute or two is going to be like reminding them what they should be doing. And then essentially we're going to stay on the live video for the rest of the class hour. After students are working for the however much time is left to get to 20 minutes, I'm going to require the students to stay on. And then after that point, they're going to how do I phrase this? Like advocate for their desire to not be on video. And then assuming they're in a good spot and they're working effectively, I'm going to be like, yep, enjoy the last 20 minutes, not on camera, do what you need to do. And then we're going to end the last 5 minutes doing our goal setting and reflection. And so I'm going to actually tell my students that their attendance is doing goal setting and reflection every day, because we use that in a web-based tool called Seesaw. And so I'm actually taking attendance on them goal setting and reflecting every day. That's how I'm tracking. Like if you did math that day and how successful you're being. So what I'm thinking is that time that they're on camera, or that time that they choose to stay on camera, or maybe they pop off camera and then pop back on, knowing that we're live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's why I'm going to be doing teacher signatures and conferences. So I'm going to be conferencing with students in breakout rooms. I'm going to be signing off for like teacher signatures. I won't lie to you, because teacher signatures are so challenging in remote learning, I'm actually being extremely strategic to figure out when in my grid I'm truly requiring a teacher signature. Like there were some spots I noticed that last year I totally would have had one, but then this year I was like, I'm not going to. It's just going to add stress. So I'm really being intentional. Like, when do I absolutely have to check in with students? And something to consider is, just because you're checking in with a student on one element of your grid doesn't mean you can't check in on some other stuff. So I put a teacher check-in in my grid, knowing that like I was going to check that area, but I was also going to go like 2 steps back in the grid and check something there as well. And that's just going to be something I'm going to be aware of. So I'm going to be extremely intentional on those sign-off moments. I'm also having students in their tracking page where I use Google Sheets. I've talked about that a bunch. I can actually go farther into that if you're interested. But I'm having students in the comments record their questions. So for a student who's like red or yellow, I know that's not really what you're asking about conferences. I use orange for that. But if they're red or yellow, they're actually putting their questions in the comments so students can participate live and get them support. So they may not be waiting for me. Or if they have a question, they can always pop into that live meeting as well. So maybe that gives you a little bit to think on. Let me know what questions you have from that. That would be awesome. All right, so Patty says, just switched to high school English last week. I need to make a new intro grid. Hey, Patty, no worry. I hate to like say this because I know it's not easy. Patty, I made my entire intro grid today. I'm not saying that because I'm like trying to make it sound easy. It wasn't. It took me a few hours today. But Patty, there was so many moving parts to our entire week. And every single time I made a stinking video for my intro grid, it ended up being wrong like 2 hours later because, like, for example, Patty, this is a silly example, but in my mini lessons I was doing last week, there was a time where I was going to have students reflect on how the week is going, specifically on like the organization of their space. And originally I was just going to do like whatever, we're going to pop on a Google Hangout. We were just going to talk about it. And then I'm like, ooh, no, I'm going to get them registered for Seesaw, which is a big program we use for goal setting and reflection. And because I'll get them registered now, when they're in their intro grid, it will like eliminate a whole step because students will like already be registered. So then all my videos up until that point were wrong because I kept referring to like, we're going to get to Seesaw, or you don't know what this is yet. Or I made comments like whatever silly things that like didn't make sense now that I got them all registered. And so thankfully, the fact that my videos are short saved my butt. And especially since I kind of like stopped working on my intro grid because I saw a lot of these hurdles coming up. So I truly waited till today. I sat down here. I don't know if you've watched my Instagram stories, but that's literally what I did all day. And I just recorded quick videos. And I not only did them for my intro grid, but also for my virtual classroom portal, that Bitmoji Classroom, which I can talk on. But Patty, you can totally do it. Mine, I think, Patty, mine's done. And so if there's anything on there that you can steal away, like truly. So my website, I can show you exactly how to access it. Actually, if you give me a second, Patty, I will not only show you the website, but also how to access it. Okay, let me see if I can do this. There's 2 avenues to access it. So give me 1 second. I'll show you both to make it easy. One is if you go to my website, website, which is hewerthangout.weebly.com. I'm going to see if I can post it here. If you go to my website to access my grids, go over to internships and then like pick one of my classes. It doesn't matter which one you pick. They're like the same right now. And then if you scroll down, this is my intro grid. You just have to stop, like click on the circle and you're automatically on my grid. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to see it. Okay. That's one way to see it. Let me show you the next one. See, I got options for you. All right, here's the other way. In our Facebook page, in our Facebook group, if you're in our private Facebook group, you can join, by the way, at teachbettergroup.com. For those of you that are watching that don't know that we have a Teach Better Team Facebook group, I shared my entire Bitmoji Classroom for the week, and I can actually talk through this way more. But specifically, Patty, if you go to like the 31st, which is Monday, I have this dot right here. It says for grid work on your checklist, click here to begin. If you click on this link, it will take you directly to that intro grid. So depending on what avenue you want to go to, that's fine. I can actually share this in the comments as well. Anybody can view, copy link. All right, let me throw this in here for you as well in the comments, assuming this works. Who knows? Hopefully, Patty, that at least like starts to answer your question, at least a smidgen. Oh my goodness, there's so many comments. I'm so sorry. I am going to get to all these. All right. Jen says, what is the best activities to do the first day? Great question. So my team, I'm literally going to tell you what we did because I have it in front of me. My team of teachers kind of divvied out what we were going to do every day. And so here's what we did the first day. Hold on. Let me find it. I know I have it written down somewhere. All right. So, okay. The first day, because students were not like even logged into their computers and because they weren't in Google Classrooms, we made it super easy. Our entire team, which you could do this at a classroom level as well, we made a choice board. And the choice board you worked on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it was due Thursday at the end of school. So with this choice board, it had some required options. It had some that were just optional for you. And we essentially said to all students, we're going to be live during these times. We laid that out. And during those times, we are going to be doing things with you, which I'll share in a minute. And then any extra time you have, meaning that if we don't work if we're not live the entire 40-minute class, you are going to be working on this choice board. So it already gave them something to go work on no matter what. Then when we did that on, okay, so that was all week. Then we shared out a few days before and Monday morning, the first day of school, we shared out a welcome video to families, a welcome video to students, and we also shared out all of our Google Classroom codes. So their work for Monday was to register for all their Google Classroom codes and work on the choice board. And then we just went live 8th hour. So 8th hour, we played like games and took attendance and hung out. We were super active, like did like some jumping jacks and stuff like that. And kind of got like our feet wet in like, okay, what does it look like to go live with students? So then this was our process all week. So Tuesday, I actually did with students setting up their learning space. So each teacher taught something different. I taught students how to set up their learning space, not only what they should have out, but also at the start of their day, like what do they want to have open on their computer? So we like talk through strategies. We did a really silly cup activity. I don't have a cup. We did a really silly cup activity where every student had to run and go get a cup. And then we talked about what would go in the cup to keep us organized. So like 2 pencils, pens, earbuds. Like we talked about how if they had an organizational system, fine. But if they didn't, now they're going to keep a cup on their desk and they're going to always make sure they have 2 pencils, a pen, and their earbuds in it. So it's like an organizational structure for them. So we like did that kind of stuff the first few days, like processing through what is it like to have to follow a schedule and all these different things. I don't know that I've shared that choice board with you guys, but if you're interested, comment and I'll pull that up as well. But there was like so many things. Like it had a student inventory survey. It asked them to watch welcome videos of teachers. There were so many things. So that kept them really busy, which was super good. Okay, then Wednesday we did a GIM kit. I'm not sure if you've done that before, but especially in remote teaching, especially with bad internet, Gim kits work way better than Kahoots or anything else, just so you know. We did a Gim kit reviewing kind of like all the things you've learned about our school recently. And then students had a great time playing that virtually, and the winners we like just celebrated. Thursday, we got registered for Seesaw, and we did a reflection about how our learning space is going so far, how we're feeling with remote learning. And then Friday, we actually did a team day. So every class hour was different. First hour, we talked about highs and lows of the week. Then we did a scavenger hunt during fourth hour. We just asked students to get like 2 or 3 items that best describe them, and then they shared out. We did we stole this from another awesome group of educators, but we did like creating a meme for remote learning. And then we did like a COVID life hack, the project that they got to work on 5th and 6th hour. And then 8th hour, they shared out those projects. And then they were able to have conversations about how we set up for a successful Monday. So it's kind of like those reminders. So other teachers went over other things, but that's kind of where I was at in terms of best activities for like the first week. I think the best things you can do is build relationships with students the first week. Those goofy little games is great to get students talking. And then also like the procedures of understanding a routine and like getting your space ready. I have been using, and I stole this from Josie Bensko on Instagram. She works in my building as well. I have been using, I don't really want to show you all these students' names. All right, sorry. I've been using this to like, that's not going to work. To like document students participating and everything in between. It's honestly just a Google sheet with a ton of check boxes. But like this week, I was tracking, okay, who's in Google Classroom, who attended our Wednesday live session, who participated, who registered in Seesaw, you know, like things like that. So this was just a really good like check for me to get with students that I was doing just in a Google sheet, help keep me organized. And then if a student was talked about during team meeting, like for example, we had a student who came to my class but wasn't coming to science all week, then I was documenting there like, okay, the next time I meet with that student, I'm going to like pause and just really quick check in with them. Like, can they read their schedule? Stuff like that. So that was more like the first week, Jen, but hopefully that gave you food for thought. All right. Caitlin says, can you share about structuring for ease of model transition? Our initiative plan was to be virtual for Q1, but might be in the building as soon as next week. I'm overwhelmed from the first year. All right, Caitlin, here's the deal. Sorry, I'm getting all these notifications. I'm sure it's some of you that are like participating here, which is awesome. And my dogs are growling. Do you want to know why my dogs are growling? Because my big dog bed for my big dog is underneath my feet, and the little dog is laying in it, which is that this is like a no fly zone, people. I'm trying to decide if I should move the little dog to save some stress. We will see. We'll go for it now. All right, Caitlin, I believe that finding a routine and structure is essential, and you have to find a routine and structure that can move, because you just have to assume that everything's going to change at any moment. So I'm going to go through my entire structure, Caitlin. That opened up kind of like the door for me to share everything with you. But I'm so sorry if you're not interested in hearing this. So hopefully this helps. So here's where we're at. When my students start the week, I am sending a parent video out to parents. Like I'm trying to get it out like to them Saturday or Sunday, just telling them how much I appreciate them. And then this week I like shared out like, shh, these are sneak peeks of what your students are going to get into. And I know they're going to share it with their kids, but I was like, don't tell, these are things they haven't learned yet. What my hope is that those anxious parents who are working and don't have the ability to be with their child all week, they might like preview for their child, like, hey, Miss Stewart says these are some things you're going to get to, and they can walk through it and feel comfortable. That way, when the parent comes home at the end of the day and the student says, oh, I did a grid, the parent isn't like, what's a grid? Now I have to learn what that is, right? I tried to give my parents anything and anything that they needed for the week, even though it like spoiled some of the fun for my kids, but I kept some things secretive, so it'll be fun. So that parent video goes out on the weekends. That like checks the box for communicating with families, super easy. Then on Monday, my students are going to start, and I'm going to teach my students to start with this Bitmoji Classroom. So I've shared this with you guys in our private Facebook group. And what I've done is that I've shared like my entire week as of today. And you guys know things can change. But here's what I'm doing. The first slide just is like a standalone image that my students can see, and all the others are hidden from them. And I'm actually hiding them by just putting a big white box over it that says coming soon, because my students only have access to this, just like all of you, in view only mode. So when they're in view only mode, they like can't click on anything in the coming soon. And what I've done for my own organizational structure is I started labeling the date, because I find myself like so confused on the slides once I started changing them, because every slide's going to be a little different. I'll get to that in a minute. But this was a lifesaver. I know it sounds dumb to put the date, but holy cow, did it help. I'm sure you guys are like, yeah, Ray, we knew that already. All right, apparently I didn't. So what I've done is I have a checklist on the board of what they should be doing every day. That's what they're responsible for. And then I have, the first time I introduce a clickable dot to students, I have a little like yellow box telling them what it is. So here's how I've done it. Let me go to like the 1st. Okay, so this is like the 1st of September. What's new here? This is a clickable video. It's usually about a minute or so long. And I talk about what's new in the image that day. So if it's something that's not new and it's been there for a while, I don't touch on it. But specifically in this one, like these buttons are new, and I wanted them to know that they're there because of something that they're going to learn in the grid. And I wanted them to see that it was both places. Then I go through a mini lesson. This is just a mini lesson that I get to decide what it looks like. I talk to you guys a lot about how when I run a grid normally in my classroom, we start with like a 6 to 8 minute mini lesson. That's essentially what it is. It's not really turning out to be 6 to 8 minutes, at least not yet, but that's where I'm at. So that's my mini lesson for the day. And I'm getting the students used to seeing that my mini lessons might preview an idea, or it might review an idea they already learned, but it's still important to check these out. The reason I share these all with you guys is because I've not only taken that white box down so you can see everything, but you can actually go and watch these mini lessons if you want to see like how I've modeled some of these things. I've given you full access, just like my students, trying to be as transparent and helpful as possible. And then you'll see like grid work, and I even put the teacher suggested goal, because every single day my students are going to be working on different things, and I want them to know like, here's the minimum I want you to try and get through. So all these things are here, and you can literally take this essentially like my students, because what I do in the first day is I talk about what a Bitmoji Classroom is. I have them bookmark it. Then they go into a survey about some paper tools, and then they get into the grid. And you can literally like do the intro grid if you want to see that whole student experience. And then I kind of duplicate this throughout the day, where I have like the what's new here, the mini lesson, the grid, all those things. And then you can see how we go through this through the whole week. So you'll kind of be able to click through if you're interested. You will notice that the 4th is not done. That's because I don't know I want my mini lesson to be yet. I want to make sure that I can see what my kids are doing. This is the last day of the week. It's Friday. And so I'm just not sure what I want to review there yet. But you'll be able to see kind of what the structure looks like. And what I'm thinking is, like on September 3rd, if you go to that one, September 3rd is going to be kind of what like I typically have my classroom look like. It's going to be like less crazy things all over, just clickable dots. And then they have the checklist. And I keep telling them over and over, the checklist tells you what you should be doing and what you're responsible for the day. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. If you're interested then in how this transitions, it transitions perfectly, because in my classroom, if we were in like a hybrid model or an in-person model, I'm still going to use this, because you never know when things might change. So whether like students are in a hybrid model and that's the day that they're home and they can click here to know what they're doing, or if they're an in-person day, we can still pull this up and have a checklist of what we're doing throughout the day. The only difference might be that maybe my mini lesson is live, and I tell them that the mini lesson right there is optional for them to watch, or something along those lines, but I'm keeping the same structure. Then if you actually go to my intro grid, which I'm sorry I'm blabbing on, but this might be helpful to answer your question, Caitlin. If you go to my intro grid, that has everything they need to be successful on it. So on my intro grid, they start, well, first of all, let me figure out, by the way, when my students were here, I wasn't sure if they were going to know where to go. So I literally made this YouTube video telling them to scroll all the way to the bottom, just saying. All right, then you scroll all the way to the bottom, and everything in here is structured for the student to be successful. I have a start here section. They're going to go all the way through, and I literally walk them through every single step. So I use a grid all year, regardless if we're in classroom, hybrid, remote, doesn't matter. This is still going to be the case. And the only things that will change is some of my conferencing practices when I'm with students. Like if they're able to be in the classroom, I might conference with them just like in person, signing off on stuff like I normally would. But this at least gives them like the support, the structure they need. So no matter what, like nothing's really changing if we go to a hybrid or in-person model. I hope that kind of answered your question, Caitlin. The last thing is probably this idea of goal setting and reflection. I won't quite go through that too much right now, but I totally restructured a lot of my plan for this, or at least the way I teach it to students. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I have students goal set reflect every day, it's in 1D. So what I did in 1D is I explained how they're going to goal set and reflect, how to post in Seesaw, and then I did a quick check where they're going to like submit something. So that is here, just so you know. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, let's keep going through these questions. I'm super sorry. Hey, Van. Hey, Brittany. Good to see you in here. I'm so glad that this is helpful. I'm so behind in the comments, but I'm super glad that you're here with us. Jennifer says, thanks, Ubin. Spending so much time troubleshooting tech at the beginning. Definitely want to make our time together meaningful. Yes, Jennifer, like you have to find a way to make your live time not stressful. And what I mean by stressful is like high stakes, right? So like if it really matters that they're there, then you are really going to hurt yourself when reaching students that have bad Wi-Fi or, you know, like crazy households where they're acting as a parent. I even had students who were live with me, but then when they unmuted to like share their voice, it was so loud in the background. Like I could hear, I'm not blaming the parents, but like I can hear their parents like yelling, or older siblings like yelling, or younger children crying. And I'm like, of course it's hard to concentrate on this when like everything around you is just chaos. And so like I can't control their environment right now. So the only thing I can control is how I use the time I have with them. And so troubleshooting tech is absolutely something you should focus on, especially if it's like tech that you can help the child with. But in terms of like good internet and being able to log on at specific times, use that time to build relationships, use that time to go over reminders, use that time to, you know, like get students moving. A lot of them don't realize that sitting all day is so bad. So like get them up and moving. And then that way, when they're working on your content, maybe they're doing it not during class time and they're being effective. And so you're just there to really support them. I like that you're using goal setting for roll call. Yes, Van, that's an idea I came up with today. I went the entire week not knowing how I was going to do it. So yes, I'm with you. Perfect, Jordan. Hey, by the way, you just emailed me. I was so glad that you popped in this afternoon. What does a check-in with your students look like in remote learning? My check-ins, like my quick checks, my quick checks are a lot of different things. If you go to my intro grid, you can see I've used everything from like submitting in Seesaw to Google Forms to stuff like that. So it really just depends. Depends on what I'm trying to get out of it. My biggest suggestion to all of you is to truly, because I did this earlier this week, like you have to know what you want before you decide how you're going to go about doing it. And what I mean by that is, for example, legitimately this week. So I was taking attendance every day. And what I was doing is I really wanted, in my mind, I want students on a live video to share their voice. I kept being like, hey, will you unmute yourself and share your voice? And so my solution was, okay, I'm going to open up my attendance and I'm just going to call out a student's name and they're going to have to unmute and say that they're here. Okay, Ami, are you here? And then we'd wait. And then she would figure out that she needs to unmute. And then she would say, hi, I'm here. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing your voice. It's so good to see you. Then she would mute and I'd be like, okay, Aurora. And it was like literally the biggest waste of time. So my problem with that is like my student teacher and I'm like, okay, this is taking forever. Like the 20 minutes that we were live is literally just taking attendance. I'm like, this does not work. How foolish is that? Because Google Meets alphabetizes my students by first name. So I can just alphabetize my attendance that way. And I can tell you exactly if they're here. I don't even need to hear their voice to know they're here. I have a list. And there's a Google Chrome add-on that takes attendance for me. So I don't even need to take attendance. But in my mind, I'm like, but I want them to talk. I want them to hear their voice. Okay, or share their voice. So I'm like, okay, attendance is not the solution to me wanting them to talk. Like I need to do something that's causing them to talk. And so when we talk about like how to do a check-in or how to do a quiz or how to do anything, you have to go back to like, what are you actually trying to accomplish? And then you can figure out the medium in which to do that. Because if the medium requires them to be like live with you, okay, fine. What are the avenues for that? Or if the medium doesn't require them to be live, okay, what are the avenues for that? Or if you need to hear their voice, what are your options? If the video is okay, what are your options? If they can just type their response, okay, what are the options? And so you really have to go back. And I was not good at it this week. It took me like till Thursday where I had this like, oh, moment. And I'm, it's just, we're all underwater. But you have to know why you're doing something and like what you're truly trying to get out of it to then be able to determine the how behind doing it. So not all my check-ins are the same because I'm not trying to get the same thing out of my check-ins every time. I hope that makes sense. I love that Jessica said she finished her intro grid too. Yeah, twins. Patty says, thanks for the encouragement. It's a relief, LOL. I love the goal setting reflection and seesaw. I had originally been doing it. Perfect. So I'm glad that you feel like you're getting what you need. That's awesome. Nikki says, I don't have students until September 10th, but I'm hoping to have my intro grid complete in the next 2 days. Nikki, I bow down to you. Good for you. I thought I was going to be that teacher. I planned on being that teacher. And then I just feel like so much change. And I had so much going on in like my own life that I just got completely overwhelmed. And so today was my day, but I'm so excited that you are going to get that done. And I really hope that it's super successful for you. I see that you're commenting that you have 3 preps. I super encourage you to get your intro grid done. And it's probably going to be the same for all your classes. So I have 2 preps and I just get my intro grid the same for both classes. And then try and get that first content grid done. I usually plan my next grid while my current grid is going on. So like my intro grid, here I'm going to show you the calendar for my intro grid because that's another avenue of like classroom management. Here is my intro grid. My intro grid calendar. So I can see here that like this is where what my students are going to see. So we're starting on Monday, tomorrow, and then our like final day of our test is going to be Friday. So I know for my content grids, I have between now and the 11th to like get that grid done so that then I can introduce it on the 14th for this like new unit. And yes, the first content grid I'm doing with students is going to be 2 separate grids because they're 2 separate courses. So that is a lot to do in 2 weeks, but I mean, you know what I mean. So planning the grid while one grid is going on is like super duper helpful. But if you can get ahead of it, go crazy. Okay, Candace saying, I just made my intro video so many times this year because it keeps changes. Yes, totally. Oh, my dogs are frustrated with each other. Alfie, what do you want me to do? He's just laying there. Go lay down somewhere else. Yes, I'm sorry. I talked to my dog as if they're children. I know it's not the same. All right. It's kind of getting frustrating. Also comical. I'm waiting until next week just in case my district changes everything. Candace, I'm just going to tell you this, and I know you well enough that you know that you can take this with a grain of salt. And if you're mad at me, you can like text me later. Don't do it until the day before. Like, I know that stinks. Just don't do it. I've been sharing so much in this group in terms of like our parent videos and everything. If you want to see all the communication we've been sending out to families, we send a video email to families every single night last week, just like trying to be transparent, trying to keep them up to date, like answering common questions. Don't bother. Don't make the video until the day before. I just made my parent video. Like truly, like I made it Saturday I made it Friday because I sent it out Saturday morning to my families. And I waited till Friday to talk about how my class was going to run, even though we were already a week in, but we were a week into like team stuff. I waited until Friday to record it, talking about next week because things kept changing. So if you need permission to like wait, this is me totally telling you to wait because I've redone like all my mini lesson videos and all my what's new here videos in my Bitmoji Classroom and about all of level 1, like literally 3 or 4 times. And it's just because like things are changing, but I'm also getting smarter. Like nothing changed between some of those videos, except that I was like, oh, I forgot something and it'll be better if I do it this way. And so it's not so much that like information changes, but we just like have more time to think on it. So just something to think on. I'm totally going to move my little dog just really quick because he's growling, but it's stupid. Harvey, come here. Come this way. There we go. Okay, Alfie, now you go lay down. All right. All right. We're okay. You're fine. I know. It's so frustrating. Sorry. I totally wouldn't normally do that on camera, but guys, this is my life. My little dog never lays in our dog bed, ever. He is like always somewhere in the room, usually right next to me, laying next to my chair. And the big dog always lays under the table. And so when they switched spots, that was not going to lead to good things. So super sorry. Candace, you're going to be great, just so you know. All right, let me try and pop back to these questions because they just all moved on me. I'm super sorry. Candace, okay, got to your question. Now I'm on Patty. Oh, that's so awesome. I have that up for the group. Thank you. Oh, perfect. I'm glad that that was helpful. Jessica says, can you talk more about your virtual Bitmoji Classroom? I'm still stuck on making sure students have all the things and how I can change it and have kids do the right thing. Jessica, let me know if you have a specific question on the Bitmoji Classroom. I'm going to pull it back up. Oop, that's not it. Hold on. Guys, I'm becoming like a professional StreamYard. That's the program we're using because I just am trying to click all the buttons. So Jessica, just to confirm, this is the Bitmoji Classroom. To go over the basics I said before. Sorry, there's like noises going on in my house. Guys, Sunday, okay? Just Sunday. To go over some basics, I'm doing like a what's new on this screen, which kind of is helping me figure out when I'm adding things, how to support students in it. So I really would encourage you to look through this because the what's new here video is separate from my mini lesson video. The what's new here is like what is new in the picture that we have. And then that happens. And like, you'll see that I don't have the what's new here on the 4th because I actually don't think I'm adding anything new there. So like, I'm just going to go straight into the mini lesson. So that's kind of helping me figure out what my students need. The other thing is that this image I'm making, this image that's like the background, I just made in the background, like I made it in Canva. You can make it 100 different places, but I can add stuff to it. So if I forgot something, I can just like throw it in there. You'll also see that I added the Bitmoji of myself, which guys, that's the only part of this I don't really get. I don't know why they need to see like a Bitmoji version of me besides that it's like cute. So I'm doing a thing with my student teacher where I'm like hiding myself in certain places. So like on the 2nd, you see me like up in the corner on the ceiling or like outside creepy in the window on like the 1st. So I don't know. But let me know if you have specifics with that because I know that this was something that is really helping me organize my system. And literally what I'm telling my parents and my students, Jessica, maybe this will help, is that it's like putting blinders on my children. So anytime students have math, they only need to go to my Bitmoji Classroom. The Bitmoji Classroom will transport them to any other tool they need. Literally anything they need is accessible right here. So it doesn't mean I won't add to it every single day or won't add to it throughout the week or won't take things away and add them, whatever. But everything they need for that day to complete that checklist is there for them. So they constantly have what they need. And I explained it the same way to my parents. So the parent video I made, I don't think I shared it with you guys. I'm not going to be able to pull it up successfully right now. But I went through this with my parents so they know what to expect. Hopefully that helps. Nikki says, I'm struggling with the tracking page and displaying students' name with all students currently. I'm struggling with my tracking page displaying student names. Nikki, I need to know more about your issue with student names. Student names is always something that I love talking through, but I need to know what specifically with the names you're hung up on because there's like 3 or 4 different things that I hear pretty commonly with that. And I don't want to waste your time speaking about the wrong thing. Jessica says, I did the same thing with the choice board. Good. And getting logged into classrooms. So glad that worked. I totally agree. Can you post the choice board? Yes. Let me find it. Oh my gosh. I really think I can pull it up super quick. Give me 1 second. Ooh, I totally found it. See? I knew I'd find it. So here's the choice board. I'm going to share it with you, but I'll also post it in, hold up. I will also post it for you. So you have it. My team put it together. This is not something I created on my own. My team is like so stinking awesome. Here is the choice board. If it loads. See, I have far too many things open. Sorry. Okay, so the choice board just tells them how it works on the first page. And then the choice board's like on the second page, and a lot of things are clickable. So I'm going to get the view only for this so that you guys have it. Can you guys see that this is loading? Sorry. Anything with link can view. Perfect. Copy. All right, I'm going to throw it in here. Hopefully that's helpful. Sharon. Okay. I just posted it for you. Sorry, that's not interesting for you. All right, so this was the choice board that we did. Essentially, students had to complete the orange ones, but the grays were optional. We found that this really didn't take a lot of time, to be completely honest with you. It took like a few days, but did not take, like for the students that were super ambitious who wanted to find work to do, a lot of them got through all the things on here. But what I really appreciate is that some of the boxes, you could do it like every day and it was a little different. So like you could read for 20 minutes every single day. So that's something that you could do any day, no matter what. So, and thank you, Brittany, for posting so much stuff. That's been super helpful that you've also been sharing. Brittany is like also always like a great go-to. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. So Josie Bensko works in my building, so we get to steal stuff all the time. Are you recording this? Am I recording what? Like this video? This video is recorded, if that helps. This is a video that you can find all over. Right now we're streaming on our Facebook page, Facebook group, YouTube, and then Teach Better Team Twitter and my Twitter. So you can find this recording after the fact anywhere. So feel free to go steal those anytime you want. I am babbling. You are lying. So good to see you, Chip Baker. You're right. Relationships are key. Thank you for commenting. If I had a son, oh, there you go. I appreciate that. All right. So George says, sorry, I was asking about the points in the grid where the teacher check-in is needed. How do you conduct those meetings for a teacher check? Jordan, great question. I'm having students pop into a live session Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's when I'm going to do that conferencing. So I'm giving my students a Google link. I'm actually generating that in Google Classroom, but it doesn't matter what program you use. You can use Zoom or WebEx, whatever. I have a link, and they're going to, anytime they're orange on their tracking page, they need to go to that link and conference. So I'm going to do that using breakout rooms and stuff. I hope that helps with your question. Seeing your daily calendar helps too. Good, Livia. I made that today. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Sorry, these comments keep moving on me. Brittany says, you were saying you have 2 different preps or classes. Do your students see the same virtual classroom? Brittany, great question that you actually just totally blew my mind. And I just realized that something's not going to work anymore. Brittany, okay, you're like my least favorite and favorite person on the planet right now. Here's what Brittany just had me realize. See, guys, brainstorming in real time. I do have 2 separate classes. I have an accelerated track and a Math 6 track. And they are going to have different virtual classroom portals, duh, because after our first grid, they're going to have separate grids that are going to be different. So their checklists are going to be different. Their goals are going to be different. Brittany, oh my God. Okay, here's my plan. Brittany, brainstorming in real time. Literally, I'm going to message you later on social media and tell you I'm mad at you. Okay, thank you for making that a realization for me now. So I have 2 weeks to figure it out. So for the next 2 weeks for this grid, I'm going to have my students all using that virtual Bitmoji Classroom. Yes. But then I think I'm going to go to my accelerated group. So I have 3 sections of Math 6 and 2 sections of accelerated. I'm going to go to my accelerated group and have them unbookmark that one and re-bookmark a new one. The new one, I'm going to use the same background. I'm going to have the same like yellow dots, except every time we have a new grid, I'll have to kind of like relink some of those, right? For example, like my Bitmoji Classroom has a link for the unit packet, but the unit packet will change every time the unit changes. So I know I have to relink some of those things. So I'm going to have my accelerated class relink the new accelerated math Bitmoji Classroom, and I will have to figure out how to make them look a little different so I don't confuse myself. So maybe, literally, hold on, let me share this. I'll brainstorm this in real time with you. Gosh, I'm so mad at you for bringing that up. You're totally right. All right. I think probably real talk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the wall color. So do you see how that wall color is like an icy blue? I'm going to change that to like purple or black or something. That way my students in Accelerated know that they're on the right Bitmoji Classroom, and my Math 6 students won't see anything change. They'll just always see this. It's not really organized that way right now, but when my students have like the coming soon, the slide that has the date that it currently is going to be at the top. So for example, if today was the 1st, these would be reordered and like the 1st would be at the top and all the rest of these would have coming soons. So I'm going to have it, I'm going to confuse you all right now, but I'm sorry, I'm going to move these back so they don't confuse you. But essentially like the most relevant slide is going to be at the top. And so my Math 6 kids won't see anything different, but my Accelerated, I'm going to have to change this a little. Or maybe I'll like change the chair color. Something's going to change so that I don't get confused and they don't get confused. And you're right, my Accelerated crew is going to have a different one, and my Math 6 is going to stick with this one. Brittany, I'm so mad at you right now. All right, moving on. All right. Hey, y'all, convinced my co-teacher to use the grid method. Oh, how exciting. I can't wait to get to the point where we're not making one level with my kids or working on the previous one. Yes, Kimberly, like I really encourage you to get ahead, try and get your whole unit done, at least to the minimum expectation, right? So like wherever your final assessment's located, wherever your standard is like meeting those requirements, try and get at least to that point done before students start getting into it. But I totally understand. And then by the way, guys, a lot of the strategies we've been sharing, you don't have to use the grid method to do. Like if you do use the grid method, hopefully this is helpful. But if you don't use the grid method, or if you don't like, I don't know, if you don't have like a website, like you can adapt all these things that you can still use so many of these different classroom management techniques. So please don't limit yourself. If you're thinking back and you're like, oh, and I have to go make a grid, like, no, you don't. Don't go make a grid. Grids are great. I love them, but like, you don't need to do that right now unless you're so committed. Or, oh, and I have to go make a website. Like, no, you don't. Put it in a PDF, do it in a Google Doc, do it somewhere easy. Do not add too much to your plate. I don't know if you need to hear that, but do not add too much to your plate. Not necessary. Do what you need to do, but don't go crazy. So appreciate all that you're sharing. Oh, Olivia, you're so great. Kimberly says, having your grid and sharing thoughts and suggestions is so helpful. I'm so glad, guys, because I've been so discombobulated and like confused this week. And I'm so glad that something that I'm sharing is helpful, truly. LOL, so fun how you put yourself upside down. Yes, I'm telling you, my student teacher and I are joking around with like, where can we hide the Bitmoji next? I even struggled, like I'm on like slide 5 or 6 and I'm like, I don't know where else to put it. So I have one coming. I don't think I showed it to you. Hold up. Let me show you. This is my plan for after Labor Day. After Labor Day, we don't have a live session. Like Monday, we won't go live. And so Tuesday, we also don't go live. We won't see them till Wednesday. So I put myself on the TV saying, I miss your face. See, I'm just trying to find ways on how to hide the Bitmoji. This is my entertainment. Okay, friends, this is my entertainment. All right. Oh my goodness. So much. Thank you for chatting through this. Best practices and resources for DOK level 3 and 4 activities in math. I won't lie. Most of my you're asking a really like complex question and you put it in a very simple way. So I'm trying to answer you in like a simple way as well. Depending on your math standard, you need to make sure that you have dynamic activities for students, especially up until the point where they've met the standard. After they've met the standard, a lot of my enrichment, which is usually DOK level 4, and then the extended thinking for level 5 in the grid, is super open-ended. So as far as activities, I totally would not be the expert in activities. I would go to Google, I would go to your textbook, I would go to resources, other educators, I would go to Teachers Pay Teachers, although I always tell people not to pay for stuff. Like go there and find dynamic activities, whether it be cards or manipulatives or like there's so many things. But if there's not many math standards that are written at a DOK level 4, to be honest, although there are some, but there's not a ton. So I would make your level 4 like above and beyond like engagement and super open-ended, because when you can let students like create elements to prove their understanding and further their understanding, that would be the best, which I know is really a blanket statement and probably not helpful. Super sorry. Jessica says, that's what's new here. That what's new here is brilliant. So just to confirm, you share the link for the Bitmoji Classroom as view only, and it has the white box over the rest of the week. But on the day, you remove the white box, and then they can do the slide. Do you move the slide to the top? Okay, Jessica, thank you for clarifying. And I know this post was like a few minutes ago, and I'm super behind in my comments. Let me confirm. Yes, I already said, but I know it was after this comment. I moved the slide to the top. So the most relevant slide is at the top. I keep the others uncovered if we've already reviewed them, just in case a student wants to go back and see the mini lesson or other things that we've done like the day before or whatever. So all those are going to be uncovered. I cover them up until the day. Yes. So that lets me like get ahead and help with the organization. And then the morning of, I'm just going to take the white box off. I'm just going to delete it and move it to the top. So it's going to be like a rotating system. That way I can prepare ahead of time. And like, for instance, I like recorded all my mini lessons for the week, and I covered them up with the white boxes so they can't see them, because it's just too much to look at. I need to like work with them for a few days especially, and I want them to know what days are most relevant. So I'm moving the most relevant date at the top, and then anything that we've already covered, they can still see and go back through. And then things that we haven't covered yet are covered with the white box. Glad that what's new here is a good idea. I hope you use that. I'm trying to go through the rest of your question. I think that helps. I think that answers everything. Let me know if you have other questions besides that. All right, so Josie, stop recommending things. JK, I'm an addict. No, she's super, super helpful. Love Josie. Always good ideas to engage students. Brittany says, haha, only because I'm in the same boat. I need the brainstorming too. Brittany, I'm still mad at you. So still upset with you, not talking to you right now. All right. Facebook user says, are you going to break up the Bitmoji slide presentation by grid, or will you end up the year the 100? Okay, great question. I'm making this up because I hadn't really thought about it, but in my head, I kind of did. I'm going to keep it the same all year. So in theory, I'd have 180 slides at the end of the year. Here's why. I'm put simply. I don't want my students to lose it. And if I have it bookmark it once, it's always there. So make it easy. I think what I might do, I'm going to share this again. I think what I might do is like, after we're starting another grid, I might like, ignore all this. I might change the background to like a random color and then just be like, new unit. Here, ready? Here we go. We're going to do it right now. I'm going to model this in real time, people. Hold up. Make it white. How fun will this be? New unit. So that way they know like a new unit started. I don't know. Is that the lamest thing ever? That way, in theory, it would look like this along the side where you'd see like everything below is something, everything above. I don't know. Let me know if that works. It may not, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, at least at this moment. I'm just moving that. So now it's there. None of you are actually going to use that at any point, but whatever. All right. Ray, I also have so much fun with the Bitmoji. I'm working on the Bitmoji. There you go. I love that. That's a super good idea, Danielle. Opening with the question. Super, super good idea. How about a celebration slide to end the unit? Patty, what a great idea. Way better than just a blue, boring slide. A celebration to be like, you did it. Our unit's over. Or like, that would be awesome. I love that idea. Great brainstorming on that, guys, for the win. All right, I've been live for an hour and 4 minutes. I'm hoping that I answered your questions. I'm hoping I got through what you needed. If you have any other questions that you want me to go over, please feel free to post them here. This is kind of like my last call. I'm so glad that something of what we shared was helpful. And hopefully you're all just continuously brainstorming. But the whole point, and you guys know this, the Teach Better team just wants to be a resource to help. Whether you are like welcoming the Teach Better team into your school, which obviously we partner and do professional development for educators around the country, or you're just like a lone teacher trying to just be your best and grow every single day, and you're just here in our network, like we're here to help you. It doesn't matter. Like we are here to help you. So just wanting to make sure I'm there and helping you with everything that you have. I think if you change the wall color for each unit, that might be an easy way to navigate. Maybe. Yes, I like that idea a ton. I was thinking about that as I was working. I might alternate. Like one could be like the blue and then the next would be the purple and then maybe I go back to blue. I think if I had to change the color every time, I'm going to lose my mind. But yes, I'm with you. Totally. So yes, I appreciate that, Patty. I am going to go hang out with the dogs for the rest of the evening unless you have more questions for me. Again, I will put this all into practice next week and be able to reflect with you as we go. So many members of the Teach Better team are in the same boat where we are back in the classroom and trying to do our best. So if you continue to have questions, I hope you continue to share in this private group. I just want to apologize that I have not been active. I personally have just a ton going on. And it's so funny. I was just doing a keynote for a school district on the East Coast. And I was sharing about like teacher guilt, and which is something that we talk about in the Teachers Deserve It book. And I was talking about, guys, like it's okay to step away from your computer. It's okay to like turn off email and walk away. And I think that I'm finding that I can do that really well for my students. Like I can set boundaries when it comes to my kiddos. I am struggling to set boundaries with all of you because I know that when you're asking for support, like you're doing it because you're trying to do what's best for students. And I know that our entire team just tries to be as accessible for you as humanly possible. So just know that like I'm working on my own stuff, but I have felt so much guilt. I just want you to know I felt so much guilt. I had 46 emails from educators this week. I just responded to an email, guys, this morning that was 12 days old. Let me say that again for the people in the back. 12 days. I didn't get to this email. 12 days. It was Melissa. Melissa, I apologize to you. Like, holy moly, has my life just completely gotten busy. And I just want you to know that, like, I care about you. Everybody on the team does. And I just want to have a blanket statement of, like, I am so sorry if we are not as present as we want to be. Our whole team is doing the best that we can. And we just want you to know that if you have to wait to like hear from us, just like keep hounding us. Like I want you to keep hounding us because when you need answers, we really do want to be here. And if I'm not answering, please, please, please like tag me on social media, direct message me, like tag someone else from the team to make sure that somebody gets you an answer because we really, really, really do want to be here to help you. Always, literally always. Just please know that we are here. We really believe in our family. So thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate that you all were hanging out, especially those that are still here, kind of like an hour and 8 minutes in. I hope you have an amazing, amazing week. I will strive to be as around as humanly possible. I have my own personal things I'm juggling, but I'm going to do my very, very best. If I don't see you until next week because our schedules don't correspond, I hope you join us for our next biweekly family check-in. Do not forget that we just launched our Teach Better podcast network. If you're looking for some podcasts to check out, we have blogs publishing every single day, Monday through Friday, in addition to podcasts that are publishing almost every single day for the podcast network. We have online courses. We have our private Facebook group. We have so many avenues. We have our mastery chat that we have every Thursday. We have our administrative mastermind that happens on Tuesday twice that day. It's like crazy in the morning and afternoon. So find your way to get involved. Find your way to get support more than anything else. Don't worry this week about giving. Worry this week about getting the support you need to give to students. They're the only reason that we do this crazy profession. So thank you for all that you do. I care about you so much. And I know I speak for the entire team that we wish you the best week of your life, no matter what you're doing, whether you're like still in summer mode or like totally in the trenches with me. And I hope that we chat soon. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad that you were here, and happy Sunday.